YTPC. It's your own Uncle Butter. And tonight, I'm coming at you live and direct from Adams County, Pennsylvania, as always, from the back porch. And tonight I'm going to do VR. And this is a wonderful VR to my good friend, Maritime Piper, up in the Great White North. Now, he has asked us a very wonderful question that I'm actually trying actively to contain my excitement that we're actually going to talk about something really cool and not very typical of the general modus operandi in the YTPC. So Maritime Piper, the well-read Canadian that he is, wants to know what our ideas are about the dichotomy that exists between religion and science, and why do they always seemingly have to be juxtaposed. So, I got some chicken scratch here that I'd like to submit to the court, and I'm going to smoke some vintage Syrian by McBaron, the H&H series, while I do it. So, I am the son of a theologian and a minister. My father, Reverend Charles E. Falk Jr., was, from 1981 to the time of his death in July of 2004, a minister for United Church of Christ. And he really was the type of guy that really felt he received a calling to do that job. So this guy, my dad, was a true believer. But he was such that he trained me as his son and heir to be a very open-minded individual. Prejudice, racial or otherwise, did not exist in my household growing up. It was tough for me when I got to school and stuff to see how much there was existing, and it took, well, maybe by the third or fourth grade, you're really trying to. Maybe it is for everyone. I'm not sure, but it took me a while to realize how mean and cruel the world can really be. And this is before I ever had a job that took taxes out of my paycheck. But the question is a tough question. It's a terrible question. But I think ultimately it is maybe the only question. So, the short answer is that I believe that science and religion have a symbiotic relationship. I think that science tries to uncover the reasoning and the logic of the universe, and I think religion, dogma, and spirituality fill in all those gaps where science cannot yet gain an understanding or grasp those things. I think it's a natural evolutionary process that we as human beings strive for answers that we ought to know. Using our limited and feeble efforts, we will never, ever know the truth. We can go as Professor Cobb of the Shire has said, we can go back, and science has said we can go back almost to the very beginning of the Big Bang. We can't actually see it because of the nature of our recording instruments. Based on how we look at things, we can't see beyond where we can see. I mean, that's just logic. So, one of the movies in recent history that I think really touches on the dichotomy that exists between that and the nature of humanity is a movie called The Book of Eli. And if you haven't watched The Book of Eli, Mila Kunis and Denzel Washington and Gary Oldman, wonderful movie. Talks about using religion and the Bible as a weapon and a lever to control people. And that's what science is trying to do, and that's what religion is trying to do, and that's what dogma is trying to do, John. They're trying to control us, okay? They're trying to say, if you believe this, then you are more right than that. If you are in this circle, you are part of the chosen intelligentsia that understand the lack of need and one desire for really smart people to need a deity to explain things or have faith in or strive their actions toward. And religion and dogma and philosophy in a lot of ways theology, I should say, says if you're within this circle, then you are part of the chosen tribe, and as long as you follow these simple rules here, you can be in our club. And I can tell you they're both bullshit. I really feel that in the deepest part of my heart, the subcockle regions, in fact. I really feel it's bullshit. And this is why I feel it's bullshit. Because the only thing that we do is try and control each other. That's the only thing we try and do. Whether it be through an understanding of the world around us, feeble as it may be, or through a faith that's not the complete salvation is not even possible because of the fallible nature of human beings. And you can believe in your heart and heart in the salvation of Jesus Christ, and you can really dedicate your life, but you're always going to fall short. And so science sets you up for failure, and religion, not spirituality, but and existence, but religion and dogma sets you up for failure. And they set you up for guilt too. And I agree with the Cobbett, Professor Cobbett, as it were. That's not cool. And I don't mean to be so flippant in my use of the lexicon. It's not cool, man, but it really is terrible. Why, of all the ways to try to help people as we sojourn on this mortal coil, all on the level, all having the same birthright and opportunities to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, why would we try and control anyone? Why would we try and denigrate? Why would we try and use draconian methodology to, I don't know, let's just pick an example right out of the thin air, make death camps in Poland and kill 6 million people because they're this religion, and then another 6 million because they're different or they're agitants against us. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. Why would we as scientists say, look, you're wrong and I'm right. Yeah, nanny boo boo, I'm right. Yeah, you're just stupid because you don't understand this. Well, let me speak directly to those people. I understand this. This doesn't make you right. This means you figured out something a little bit. I understand the love and the grace that I have received from having otherworldly / religious experiences, and that doesn't make science wrong. So there is a symbiotic relationship that exists between the two, and I think anything that has a symbiotic relationship needs, by the very nature of the word symbiosis, needs the other component to exist. You need to believe and have a fully developed sense of faith and belief that you're not the center of the universe in total, and you're just a small cog in the wheel. At the same time, you need to make sure you're not turning a blind eye to the reality that's around you. And I think it's a very difficult thing. And I would venture to say that people endeavor only to do one thing, and that is control one another. And that's a waste of time, because you only get a certain amount of time on this planet as we know it. Because here's the thing. If we knew what happened, truly, and we could prove it with science, truly what happens to our essence, to our being after we die, why would we even talk about this? It would be boring, though. It would be terribly boring. It would be horribly, mind-numbingly boring. Well, some people say, well, there's no God. Well, you can't prove there is. Well, you can't prove there isn't. Well, look at all the atrocities and the terrible things. Well, the Bible itself says we were made in His image. And if He's anything like us, then bad stuff's going to happen. People are going to die that shouldn't die. People are going to live that shouldn't live anymore. I mean, diseases are going to spread. Wars are going to be rampant. It's just the nature. I mean, you got a book that's split into two parts, more or less. Well, it is, for all intents and purposes, two main parts. The I'm going to kill you and I'm going to drown you and I'm going to smite you, and the that didn't work, love, host, peace, and charity, salvation part of the book. And I think that in and of itself is an interesting dichotomy, because we see that God, if this is a true account, or at least in the ballpark of a true account, you see that God is in motion. You see that God is moving. God is evolving. God is constantly expanding he, she, its understanding of its interaction with its own creation. And I think that's probably the most interesting thing that exists out there, is the fact that I feel that, just as the motto of the United Church of Christ teaches us, that God is indeed, was, is, and still, and will ever be speaking. And I think science is always, was, is, and always will be speaking. And I think the reason that people like Copernicus and Galileo got what they got is because of power and control. Because if that control is decentralized from hereditary monarchies of Europe during those times, then that could start a revolution that would depose those people. And that's as simple as that is. They just wanted to keep control. They didn't want to be open-minded. Well, now we've kind of gone the other way, where technology and science is more or less our religion, and religion's trying to fill in those gaps. Just look at the the attendance in mainstream Protestant religions. It's down, and the reason is people don't need the answers given to them that way, but they forget that they can't get all the way with technology, but they're so drunk with the constant news feeds and the constant updates of pictures and the constant this and that and the other, that they don't even care to know what's happening any place but right here. And that is surely the way that we're going to go off a cliff, or surely go careening close to going off a cliff. And I think that, specifically religion and dogma has tried to hold so stalwartly, even in the inclusivity of some of the Protestant denominations. They've tried so hard to be inclusive that they forgot that by their very nature, unless you're talking like Unitarian Universalism, which is still, or maybe even Baha'i, which is still some sort of box. It might be a very, very, very large box. It's still a box, and they just try and draw a circle, and scientists try and draw a circle around the intelligentsia and academia. They say you can't possibly be, if you are believing in any kind of extra-worldly, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-loving whatever, then you're obviously lesser. And that's where it really comes down to for me, John. That, plainly spoken, pisses me off. Because this is how I imagine God. Obviously, he's going to fall very, very short. But I can just imagine God up there or in here or wherever. Guy sitting in a big old armchair, and he's just got his hand like this. And he's just like my dad always suggested, the feeling of, I can't believe this happened. Why the hell did I even do this? It's like, I killed him a couple times off, they still don't get the message. I sent my son, they don't get the message. I tried to present myself as a prophet and say, nope, this is it right here. I tried to present myself with, I'm still coming, follow these very strict rules. They still screwed up. I tried to say I'm a group of gods. That didn't work. I've tried to say I'm the earth itself. And that didn't work. I've tried to say that, all you have to do, the greatest commandment, is love each other as I've loved you. That surely didn't work. So failure after failure after failure, I could just see God being like, I don't even know why the hell I did this. I don't even know why the hell I did this. I mean, can you imagine? And then, to be a Christian is to endeavor to be Christ-like, and any endeavor has, a possibility of failure, and of course a possibility of success, but by our very nature, we are imperfect human beings that strive toward, the actions as we believe Christ to be, perfect. It's an unattainable goal, and that's where faith picks up. Science is an unattainable thing, but people are somehow more comfortable with, this I can prove, this I can't, So I'll rather go with a lot that I don't know, but some that I can prove, as opposed to I can't prove any of it, but I feel and I've experienced. I also think that people don't want to hear the word no, and I think that's a big part of science. No, no, moving forward, moving forward. No, that can't possibly be. That's a, draconian methodology of these people. They just killed these people because they believed in this, you know, old man in the sky. No, 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 no. I don't need to, give any love, hope, peace, or charity to the world because I understand the I understand how to split an atom. So why would I bother with understanding it? And it's like you're sitting in this beautiful rocking chair, you're rocking along, and everything's wonderful, and you never bother to ask how the damn rocking chair got there. It's a failing on humanity on both parts in a profound way, John. And I might not be as well read as you, but I can tell you I feel in my heart that we're failing, and we're going to continue to fail. And I don't know why we have to keep going this direction. Let me look at my chicken scratch here, make sure I got everything. Oh, here's the love. Here's the assistant. 1 in 400 trillion said he existed, said I existed, said you existed, and everyone that's watching that existed. You want to read it? For me, it's a miracle that he exists. For me, it's a miracle that everyone exists. But for scientists, it's just, genetic matter going together. And obviously you're going to get something that you think is a soul or whatever, and that's what it is. It's unbelievable. The people could be so far on one end or the other. When you really, truly, and utterly look at it, and in my opinion, it is truly a symbiotic relationship that people refuse to believe because they're so concentrated and so punch drunk in love with being right that they have blinders onto everything else. Nothing else matters in their opinion but being right, and more specifically being first. It's just terrible, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know if we're supposed to fix it, but I can know, and I do know, the more I talk about this, we've talked about this a lot. My dad and I talk about this very subject on this very porch many, many times. My wife was a religion and philosophy major in college. Her answer is question everything, and God will speak directly to you. I've got friends that are espoused atheists, and they say I don't need to believe those kind of things to understand why the universe exists. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's whatever helps you sleep at night, and whatever keeps you from controlling people. That's the real thing. That's what we got to strive for. So if however you got to explain it, and however people need to believe it, as long as they're not clubbing people to death because of it, they're absolutely welcome to have that. But it is irritating as hell to have to go through it and have to listen to it and have to be, affected by it. We kind of in America, and most of the places in the westernized world, we are party to and privy of a socialization, primary and otherwise, that is based on Judeo-Christian beliefs. Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery. These are things that we hold as a society to be self-evident. And maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But I can tell you that's the way we've been wired, at least as a society. And I can tell you for absolutely certain that it is probably one of the most important questions to ask, and I appreciate certainly that you've asked this question. As dumb as it may sound, and I'm certainly not trying to patronize you, thank you for asking a probing question, because at least you have the courage to ask a probing question. And I, like Kyle the Shire, maybe, go where angels dare, only angels dare, to answer those questions, or to at least add to the conversation. But I think it's, I think it's paramount to our existence that we continually ask the question. Like like the professor said, who did it to us? How did it happen? That's not two questions, sir. It's one question. It's one question. It's the same side. It's the same coin with two different sides on it. I mean, it boggles my mind that people separate those for some BS reason. It just absolutely disappoints me. And at every opportunity I've had in my life, I've tried to go the opposite direction from that, and it's met with a lot of successes and it's met with a lot of failures. But I could just see him. What the hell did I even do this for? We missed the boat. We missed the boat. Maybe we can get to the next one. Maybe there is no next one. Maybe there wasn't one to begin with. I don't know. But they don't have to be opposed. They aren't opposed. And we make them opposed to draw circles around ourselves and say, these people are right and those people are other than right. And it's a failing. It's a failing on everyone's part. Like the end of Romeo and Juliet. All are punished here. Not just the scientists and the theologians, the believers and the non-believers alike, to simplify it. But everyone. All are punished here. And I would hope and pray, and the meditation of my heart would be, stop concentrating on the separation and start creating a separation between those two viewpoints, and start concentrating on how we can be better human beings by not clubbing each other over the head over finite resources, not concentrating on waging ancillary wars and letting people die for no reason. Stop corralling people into rooms and putting Cyclone B pellets into there as part of some final solution. You know, it's ridiculous. The atrocities that we commit in the name of trying to be right, or trying to be at least less wrong, to somehow hold it over the rest of humanity's head that we know the secret. And if God is here, John, and God is everything in the universe, and before there was anything, there was Him, and then He created that, part of Him had to create that. Had to forge that out of Himself. And that means we're all God. And that means we're all science. And I don't understand why people don't understand that. It's frustrating. But I think a lot of times people, they have bad experiences. You know, they have bad experiences. They get told you are lesser because you are not like this. And they run screaming to the hills. I'll never believe in God. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. I'll never ever. You know what they say, only the Sith deals in absolutes. So, however, the prayer in my heart has been, obviously, if you can't help by these situations in life that you find yourself in, don't hurt them. But really, I would hope and pray that however the universe and God and the knowledge, the hum, the om that operates the universe exists, that it treats us as fairly as we treat it. And I hope that for the people that don't believe that exists, I hope it shows itself to those people. And I hope for the people that do believe it exists, that it can make us kinder and more compassionate human beings on our short time on this planet. So, thank you from the very bottom of my heart for asking this question. It's an important one to ask. So, if I've offended someone, I'll refer you back to the one comedian that says nothing's happened because of it. It's okay. If you'd like to espouse how wrong I am or how right you are, you're welcome to do that. But nothing's going to happen. And think about it this way. If you're offended by something, at least, and somebody has a different viewpoint than you, at least they stand for something. Because if you don't stand for some kind of belief, you're going to fall for anything. So, Uncle Butter, signing out.